Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4, and today spawning in on the west side of the map playing in blue we've got RecoN playing as the Jushi Legacy, and his opponent in the southeast playing in red we've got Roger Scruton, also known as Kaiser Johan, playing as the English. Welcome everyone to Rocky River. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Hopefully you are having a fantastic day. Becoming a bit of a catchphrase of mine, but I hope you guys are really having a good day. But we're going to be seeing a great game today, hopefully. The English versus the Jushi Legacy. I'm curious, there's going to be a couple of options for both civilizations. Quite adaptable, actually, I think. The English can... Well, to be fair, I say adaptable, but you know what? The English have definitely fallen into this playstyle of going the Abbey of Kings into 2TC. It's a very common strategy. In fact, I don't think there are that many matchups that you don't do that anymore with the English. We shall see if Kaiser Johan tries anything funky today. On the opposite side of the way, though, the Jushi Legacy have been pretty adaptable. Sometimes they do open like sort of two town centers. It's an option for them. But increasingly, I think we're seeing a lot of a push towards a castle age, like a fast castle, and then pick up the relics, and then add in multiple TCs afterwards. Usually, you know, just to add in that second TC afterwards. It's something they do pretty well because the Tang Dynasty gives them the cheaper tech up to the next stage, to the feudal age and the castle age as it happens. And so once you do get the Song Dynasty, you kind of can't go back to the Tang Dynasty, though you don't get that discount anymore. So it makes sense to a lot of times, a lot of matchups, to take advantage of that Tang Dynasty and get the cheaper tech ups. The Song Dynasty, of course, would help with a cheaper farming transition, which is often what's needed around 12-15 minute mark, sometimes depending on how adventurous you want to be on your deer camps and boar. And it might need to come a little bit early here for RecoN because his boar and deer camp are really quite far away. The English, on the other hand, they have no problems looking to get food eco without having to go for deer or boar. They do typically start getting the farming transition nice and early. It's something that I actually quite like about the English in terms of the smoothness and how they can often start to escalate their military presence quite quickly. A lot of civilizations do have to have a hard farming transition. A couple of civs do add those farms slowly and steadily, the English certainly being one of them. The Aoe4s, not really one of them, but the Byzantines for sure, that's the one I was thinking of. The Byzantines are another civilization that typically add in the farms slowly and steadily. And it is going to be the Abbey of Kings landmark as we kind of expect, and it will be the meditation gardens for the Jushi Legacy. In a nice spot, going to be getting a lot of wood and food from that. Might just sneakily be capturing some of that stone as well, which would actually kind of help towards getting that second town centre in the castle age if he decides to wait it out until the castle age to do so. Now, I hope you guys are having a great day, and I really wanted to especially thank everyone who's been supporting the channel on Twitch and YouTube, whichever one it is, whichever platform you enjoy the content. You guys are super appreciated. What I would like to ask, though, as a little bit of a cheeky favour, if you're watching on YouTube, do drop down in the comment section below your favourite emoji. It just helps me out on the YouTube algorithm side of things. And have been seeing, actually, since I've been asking people to do that, there has been actually a bit more of YouTube putting the videos out and getting more impressions to players and people who don't necessarily play Age of Empires but do play other RTS games, so it might possibly be looking to grow the community that way. More players means more of a healthy ladder, maybe more games to cast, more content, certainly possibly more tournaments as well, so kind of looking forward to that as well. Age of Empires is in a really good spot. Like, since the Sultan's Ascent DLC, I know they mentioned it's like the most selling and most popular, most successful DLC they've had in a long time. But I think the growth is continuing to go, and who knows, in a couple of years' time, we might be having a couple more civs as well. Who knows? Abbey of Kings just about to be built, and you do get that free king now, and this is what makes this build so strong to get that free unit. It's you know, it is 200 resources for free ultimately. And it's going to be a second TC in the feudal age actually for RecoN, playing a bit more of a the old school approach for the Jushi Legacy. You get that second TC nice and early, but that doesn't necessarily mean he won't be going for a fast castle still behind this. He could potentially do so, just the timing of it is going to be a bit more delayed. Not necessarily a problem though, because, you know, you're going up against the English. It's not as if you're going up against the HRE or the Aoe4s, another sort of fast castle civ that actually you want to be challenging a bit more on your castle age time, right? So that's something to bear in mind, and the Jushi will be looking to match the two town centre from the English. Now the question is really, where does he look to place that second town centre? There's a couple of goals around the back, which could be an option for him, because he does want to secure the gold veins, but he's going to place it a little bit more closer to home. A bit further forward just to protect somewhat the stone and berries. And it's quite typical now for players to get the second town centre very close to home because of the fact that it's relatively low HP. It's 2,500 HP on a town centre, the second town centre, and it only has 7 spots for villagers to garrison inside of, so it's tricky to put it out further out, just in case it becomes the focus of an attack. It's going to be a gold vein that's the focus for the town centre for the English. It's quite typically done, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of farms in early on in the feud age as well. Now, this kind of matchup can last a while, so we might be on for a late game here because both players opting for a second town centre, so they're certainly going to be escalating their economies. And it's like maybe RecoN even cheekily thinking about a third. I mean, it's got to be, right? If there's that many villages on stone, unless he's somehow forgotten about it, but I can't imagine that would be the case. Kaiser just using the scout to harass the meditation gardens. It does now bring in less resources because of that. So when enemy units are within 8 tiles of it, reduces the rate at which resources are generated. Speaking of which, at the moment it's 22 stone, 33 wood, and 37 food per minute. Gonna dive in with the king, trying to get sniped, but needs to back away. There is a sort of hand cannon slits inside the town centres. A little bit better at dealing damage against cavalry. There's got to be a little bit careful here. Diving in too quickly. Gonna add in the archer ranges as a follow-up. And I'm kind of curious to see how Kaiser plays this. There's been a recent kind of move towards the English playing cavalry. I mean, obviously he's adding the archer range now, but cavalry can be a nice option for the English because of the fact that, well, it forces the enemy into spearmen. Or at least kind of encourages them to do so. And then when you do get to the sort of late stages of the English, you can then make that switch to man-at-arms. He's going to lose that king though, unfortunately. Oh, it's a bit of a mistake there. Oh, just about gets away with it. Maybe it's calculated, who knows, but 5 HP left on that guy. But certainly in the late game for the English, you typically want to see them go for the man-at-arms and sometimes adding in crossbows as well, potentially. And that, those man-at-arms will chew through any sort of spearman mass that they've accumulated. With the Jiangnang Tower, so with the second town centre already built, it's going to go for the Jiangnang Tower for the Song Dynasty. And I kind of like this play actually. He's going to get the Song Dynasty and then place the third town centre to make it a little bit cheaper. And take advantage of that Song Dynasty a little bit extra. Opting for barracks at the back, so that's a curious play because he doesn't actually see a stable on the field, so it could be looking to be palace guards, early palace guards in fact. It's one of the units that the Jushi Legacy get in the feudal age, which no other civilization gets. Of course the Chinese and the Castle Age get the palace guards. But the Jushi Legacy get the early form of it in the feudal age. And actually this does bring back memories of the old Jushi Legacy playstyle. Like he might even look to try and get some outposts just to protect the area even further. And it can be a very, very tricky base to break down. How's it going, Packer, in the Twitch chat side of things? Hope you're doing well, buddy. If you guys were wondering what I'm talking about on YouTube, as you may know by now, I do live stream on Twitch on occasion. So you're welcome to hop in and say hi. Love to have you in a live stream or two. But of course, we will be popping up all the best games that we cast live on YouTube anyway, so if video on demand is kind of your thing, then you know where to go. Now the archer range follow-up for the long base will look to try and snap out a couple of the spearmen. Looking to protect that gold vein. And RecoN might even think about walling up on the west side if he can get out there. It's actually a really nice base for him in terms of wall ability. Now with that third town centre, it means he will be creeping up ahead in terms of villager count, which of course, Kaiser will be aware of. And he's actually looking to get a bit more of a feudal age pressure on. Triple archery range added on here. So we're not seeing that sort of typical second TC into Castle Age. It's actually more of a second TC into a feudal age aggression for Kaiser. It's starting to add in a ram. Interesting amount of aggression. Second ram as well. Yeah, he's piling on the pressure. I mean, in a way, he kind of has to do that, right? Because the Jushi Legacy do have 3 town centers now, so the economy will be rocking and rolling for RecoN, and that's not something the English can just let go, right? He has to do some sort of damage to try and hurt the economy somewhat. Farming transition now being added in for RecoN right at the back. Just to get that food economy rocking and rolling. He needs to do that, really, because, I mean, ultimately, running 3 town centers is not a cheap business. And he's starting to slowly escalate military numbers. This is something that actually RecoN needs to be careful about. He does have access to the Chukunu, so Chukunu Palace Guards could be a nice option for him, but at the moment it's only got double barracks and it's actually going to opt for a stable. So it's going to add in the horsemen for him. So it could be horseman Palace Guards here actually. And that's kind of a nice composition when you think about, you know, when he does end up, hopefully for him anyway, at least starting to clear this up. He should be able to push on forward with a lot of melee damage coming out. Going to take out the rams, and that's one of the benefits of going for a very heavy melee based army here, because you don't necessarily need to use the villagers anymore to take out the rams. It can be a problem for them if you go for full ranged units. Going to take the fight, trying to snipe out the king, and we'll get maybe a couple of units there. Takes out a couple of longbows. And I think the king might fall here. Looks like he will. Kaiser going to lose it. He's not going to bring him away. Half body blocked as well. He does lose the king in the end. He's going to be pushed back pretty heavily. Despite having large numbers of units, of course, the Palace Guards, they're going to do decently well against the longbows. He does have iron undermesh as well. Granted, the English do have their steel arrow for those longbows to do the extra damage, so it's got to be careful not to dive in too quickly. One thing that you have to bear in mind, going up against the English is often very much a snowball mechanic involved. It's one of the civilizations where if you take a bad fight, it can be really detrimental. Because you can't retreat, right? As soon as you start to move, the longbows still get a couple of hits off, one or two of them. And then they punish you even further. But at the same time, if you do take out those longbows out pretty badly, you catch them unawares, you catch them out of position, well, they are not a unit that moves particularly fast, so they can't really retreat out of there. So it's one of those things, you know, you catch them out, you tend to typically clear them out. They look to try and pick off the reinforcements, but Kaiser are going to just look to recuperate, regroup. They try to get the network of castles extended there, but villagers never seem to make it out. Got to say though, these palace guards might be somewhat surrounded because that army is getting back here for Kaiser, which actually, to be fair, doesn't necessarily hurt RecoN's game plan too much. It's probably part of the plan because this allows him to have even more breathing space to keep on booming away. Villager lead starting to escalate, 13 and counting. It does look like maybe Kaiser is opting and thinking about that castle age. Just got a little bit more gold than perhaps he would want, but other than that, his food is coming in quite nicely. The same can be said for the Jushi Legacy. Plenty of farms coming out. Of course, the Song Dynasty helping with that. Also going to try and dive on a couple of longbowmen, but the fact they split up the army is quite nice because then it forces RecoN into a decision and has to maybe split up the army to go left and right. But I'm not so sure about this fight. He's going to run into a bit of problems here with those longbows. Going to get a good couple of hits with the palace guys. They've definitely narrowed that gap. And he's going to escape with a large chunk of the army, but it's taken out quite a few of these palace guards. And this is a scenario where we talked about things snowball, right? He's out of position and there's no way to retreat too easily here for Kaiser, especially with the movement speed of the palace guards. They're not your typical man-at-arms. 1.38 is a movement speed. Compare that to a man-at-arms with the 1. Well, I think they charged in there for a second there. So that can't be right. I'm sure the palace... Yeah, there we go. 1.12, sorry. It's 1.12 for the man-at-arms, 1.38 for the palace guards. So you can see, definitely had the edge and the advantage there. I'm just going to really hack and slash a lot of those longbows. You see now the army value really starting to escalate, and this is where it becomes a little bit tricky for Kaiser. Now, granted, now that he's on the defensive, you know, there aren't that many civilizations that you'd want more than the English to be defensive with. In fact, I can't think of one because the English, they are known to be like a defensive powerhouse civilization for sure. Starting to push out again, so a bit of a sort of tug and war effect here happening on Rocky River today. That farming transition is looking absolutely beautiful for RecoN. Getting almost 2,000 food per minute, would you believe? Getting a lot more food per minute than the English even. You can see it's 75 wood for the... Actually, I probably should switch positions there to check the actual cost of it. Yeah, it's 53 wood per farm for the Jushi Legacy, courtesy of the Song Dynasty. That's going to be the White Tower for the English. Going to place it quite close to home just to protect the economy just a bit further. And it makes a lot of sense to wall up on the right side, right? Because the west side is really well protected now with the two town centers and the White Tower. It's going to be a very hard base to break. So definitely playing for that late game approach here, the English, no doubt about it. This is where we start to get a bit interesting with 15 minutes on the clock. Players will look to start maybe thinking about how much they want to protect those gold veins, the big juicy chunky ones in the middle of the map. The 8,000 gold veins, one here in the north for RecoN. and further in the south for Kaiser. Now, both players into the castle age almost. They will be having those relics on their mind as well. Very kind of even spawn in that regard. You've got 3 in the middle and then 1 on each side close to each player. It's quite fair in that way. But the great thing for the Jushi Legacy, going up with the Shaolin Monastery means that they can make those Shaolin monks, you know, pretty much off the bat straight away as he gets to the castle age, especially because they take food income and he's got plenty of food coming in already. So those monks will be on the map very quickly to try and pick up those relics. Looks like he's going to be a bit more conservative in terms of approach of gathering those relics though. Go with the one that's closer to home, playing it safe and securely. Getting market just to balance that economy somewhat. Floating a bit of food, of course, and wouldn't be surprised to see him start pumping out a lot of units. The question is what army he's going to go for. He's obviously going to go for the upgrades for his palace guards and horsemen. I mean, to be fair, might not need to change anything on this way, because, of course, if the English do continue with their man-at-arms and longbows, well, it's an armoured composition that's going to perhaps struggle against what the Jushi are making at the moment. All-important blacksmith upgrades coming in. English looking to get the armoured clad upgrade and really upgrade their longbows. Veterancy status is in. 1 relic is on the way. Now, unfortunately, on capture age, it doesn't really tell you. Usually, it tells you like a +1 down on the bottom left when a relic has been picked up. But unfortunately, it doesn't quite work at the moment for the Jushi Legacy. Looks like Kaiser can just protect this relic on the west side, keep it guarded, safe, and secure for now. Make sure that's one that he's going to look to leverage and pick up. In fact, does he have some? Yeah, it does have a monastery now. I was going to go with the Mount Lu Academy just to get that Johan dynasty. Now, whilst things are a little bit slow to get going at the moment, it's a bit quiet, but as we know in Age of Empires 4, when things are quiet, they don't usually stay quiet for long. Things will certainly ramp up when both players look to push on out. Both players actually almost there with their population cap, at least RecoN is for sure with that 3rd town centre. Great economy behind this. 32 village elite, and look at now start spamming out units. Multiple barracks being built. Yuan Dynasty is in as well as we speak. Just guarding those relics, it seems, here. Looking to get these lion's share of them, but 2 already in play for the English, or at least they're being brought back home. Looks like it should be a 3 relic game for the Jushi Legacy. It's a nice split for the English, to be fair, all things considered. When you think about the fact that the Jushi Legacy went to the next stage a little bit quicker, and then also the fact that they had the landmark that could make the monastery, make the monks instantaneously. Curiously enough, though, Kaiser's going to go with the Berkshire Palace. We've kind of seen this fall out of fashion a little bit. But he wants to protect that 8,000 gold vein, right? It makes sense in terms of protection, but he will be foregoing the benefits of the Wingard Palace. Just something that a lot of players aren't opting to do these days. RecoN just looking to bring back that final relic on home. This could be the Temple of the Sun for Jushi Legacy. I think going to keep as well in the forward position. This is actually a really kind of critical area. Right? There's 2 massive stone veins, and there's also the 8,000 gold vein to be protected. That's actually pretty juicy, I've got to say. I think actually we're talking about fair map spawns. Actually, it does look like they see. I mean, Jushi's got an extra 2,400 gold stone vein. That's a bit bugged, I think. I mean, yeah, it's got double the amount of stone on his base on his side of the map. That can't be right. It's a bit unfortunate there for the English. You might be thinking, what is that really a big deal? And it kind of is. When you think about stone walls, when you think about keeps and static defenses being hard to push on through. Well, we've got double the stone to play with here on the east side here. The Jushi Legacy. And both players get into that Imperial Age, and he went up with the Temple of the Sun, so we'll be looking to activate certain abilities. The infantry will be moving 15% faster at the moment. So activates the powerful abilities that improve speed, damage, range, or regeneration of specific units. Behind this, the English looking to capture those sacred sites as well. At least he's got 2 of them. It's nice going. And yeah, you can see RecoN looking to really start to get those stoning come in and get those keeps. It's a nice timing as well, right? With both players now in the Imperial Age, he wants to make sure he's safe and secure, not going to be pushed too hard before he gets all his upgrades when he wants them. And the great thing for the English is they do have enclosures. It's such a great eco boost for them. Gets that passive generation of gold, which certainly helps with the population efficiency. But of course, the Jushi Legacy have plenty of bonuses themselves. The supervision of the Imperial official, the fact that they can pick up and drop off gold themselves is a nice boost. I wonder kind of how much he'll focus on the horseman. Will he kind of move away from this unit? It's quite possible. I mean, he doesn't actually have the elite upgrade just yet. We've got the elite palace guard, hardened spearman, getting elite army tactics, which makes a lot of sense considering how much infantry he's got. Oh, is it going to go for here on the right side of the stone? It's a bit bold. Yeah, so looking to get a lot of those upgrades here, Kaiser. Getting network of citadels, getting elite army tactics himself, getting the third ranged attack upgrade, also getting the elite crossbowman upgrade. Which will do, of course, very well against the palace guard. Not so well against the horsemen, but he does have, of course, a good, decent number of spearmen. Perhaps not as many as he would want, though. And RecoN looking to stonewall up, but it looks like the Manitars will manage to get around the back before the stone walls actually get fully built. Stone walls on the west, though, have already been built, with a keep there as well to protect. And just in case trade becomes a thing, he has walled up in front of the trade post. And considering how the game has panned out so far, it could potentially be the case that that's needed. There's a lot of production, 3 siege workshops as well. You could potentially go for a lot of nest of bees. That could be a nice approach considering the English going for a heavy infantry-based army. Something that they typically do, and looks like the Jushi Legacy are gearing themselves in that way. It's already wiped out the stone there. It's got 1,600 stone here, RecoN. Taking the fight on the west side, mostly spearmen and horsemen. A couple of palace guards diced on in, but I mean, that is essentially a fight that Kaiser will win if he continues to take this RecoN. He's going to take the trade and then maybe just to bring his army in that position once again. And it looks like those horsemen are going to be throwaway units at this point. Like, they haven't been upgraded, and there's no signs of that happening. It's going to dive on in. Going to go with the Jushi library as well, RecoN. Really maximising the landmarks that the Jushi can get. Now we'll give him some really good unique upgrades. We'll also be able to get Johan Raiders, Imperial Guards. I wonder if he's going to go for a lot of Imperial Guards. That could be an option, actually. Such an incredibly strong late-game unit. It's a bit awkward, though, right? Because it might be a bit of a switch, tech switch, in regards to the fact that university upgrades, he kind of really leaned into the infantry-based upgrades, you know, with elite army tactics and whatnot. But could potentially get these fire lancers for the spearmen horsemen. Could get the Jugnu and crossbowmen fire extra bolts. Come on to that in just a moment, because it looks like he's going to push on a little bit here, guys. There's nothing being challenged. There is a couple of nest of bees, though. Oh, wait, that could be devastating. That's a big choke point. He's going to fire off with the nest of bees. Actually focuses on the army on the north side of that battle, but possibly missed an opportunity on those crossbows and longbows. Manasab's going to charge on in. Might pick off a nest of bees or two. No villagers on hand to repair. That's unfortunate. Does get another volley, but that's a lot of palace guards flooding on in. Does lose both nest of bees relatively cheaply, I'm afraid. Didn't really achieve too much with them, at least not as much as you'd like to see. But of course, the English probably will lose this army. Massive surround, and these, oh god, these guys move so fast at the moment. 1.58 is absolutely bonkers. Got the Divine Haste. It's also got Ming Dynasties. The infantry having the extra damage. These palace guards are going to be absolutely brutal, right? Like, if you think about it, I think a scout has a movement speed of 1.63, so this is not far off. Absolute madness. This is kind of crazy. Let's take a look at the Jushi library, though. Yeah, that would give him access to the Imperial Guard. Imperial officials, extra health and extra gold. Talk about the last one in just a moment, if we get back to it, because he's going to push on in with those Imperial guards, and this is going to be a massive raid, right? Like, this is so hard to deal with. He's going to need a bunch of crossbows, needs to try and choke point this out, but there's just so many at this point. 71, this is really crazy by RecoN. Look at the economy as well, coming in with so much food, so much gold. He's going to raid heavily. This is looking a bit dicey for Kaiser. Yeah, sure, English have a great defensive capabilities, but is it okay dealing with this? Especially considering the Imperial Guards can use their torches on buildings, so could even look to try and take down structures, but for now, he's quite happy raiding. Now, it's going to cause a lot of idle time. Villagers having to scamper away into the garrisonable spots. Wherever they can hide, they're going to try to. At least some of them are. Some of them didn't get the memo. He's really taking a bit of a pummeling here. He does have a keep around the back. Boiling oil is in, so I mean he's going to throw a lot of units away here for the Jushi Legacy RecoN, but he has done a bit of damage, killed 25 villagers and caused a heck of a lot of idle time. Considering the fact he's at full population and he's got plenty of resources in the bank, he's feeling quite happy to do this. So looking to get lightweight beams to now, is that? Yeah, it is lightweight beams. Going to start getting those rams out potentially as the siege engines to try and break through. This is not looking good at all for Kaiser, although he does have a good number of man-at-arms forming a bit of a choke point. I mean, ultimately, if the farms can keep working, he will be able to make these man-at-arms and crossbows, and that could be a nice option to deal with what's in his face right now. A couple of man-at-arms going around the back, going to snipe out at least one of the Nesta Bees. Should actually get both. Yeah, he should get both. That's a nice pick-off, and he's got defender's advantage after all, so especially with the addition of the crossbows, he could be okay. He does have that third ranged attack here, Kaiser, so it's dishing out all sorts of damage, and the Palace Guards focusing mostly on the man-at-arms on the front line, and that's buying time for those crossbows to get some heavy damage in. On the right side, a bit of a raid. He's trying to get some gold here. Kaiser, won't happen. Palace Guards are on it. Oh, this is looking a bit dicey though, right? He's taking really good trades. Another batch of man-at-arms comes into the fight though. This time he should be okay. No network of castles bonus here. That's kind of rough for the English. No single outpost extending their network. That could have been a totally different fight with it, actually. On the west side, Kaiser managed to get a keep break through the walls, trying to deny any sort of trade, but you know, RecoN with the Rams will take that out pretty quickly. All of a sudden, he's going to start to push on out, and you know, the bank of resources isn't actually looking too great for the English, but if he can stabilize a little bit, I mean, that's what he has to do at this point. Palace Guard's going to get wrapped around, going to try and go around to the back of the crossbows, right? He wants to dish out a lot of damage there, getting a good surround of most of the units. Definitely on spreading them out, but yeah, I think he's getting good defender's advantage as well. Just the movement speed for the Palace Guards to get to the fight a little quicker is definitely helping out. How's it going, Archangelo and Soja? Welcome on in. I mean, the Palace Guards, he just hasn't been able to mass up enough here, English. He's going to take the trade of the units. Palace Guards broke in through on the right side, but with the cannon placement inside the keep, he'll be fine on that side. The bigger thing is that he's kind of struggling on food, right? Despite having 3,000 food income per minute, he's still struggling to bring it all in, but he's just making the farms as he speak, and so that will start to escalate. And that will give him both food and gold, of course. He's looking to back away. So nice hold there for the English for sure. Like the greater economy for the Jushi Legacy has kind of really accompanied that push. As time goes on, it looks like Kaiser will be making that villager difference count for a little bit less. Nesta Bees firing off. Those man-at-arms aren't going to be long for this world if they keep getting hit by those rockets. It's going to start moving forward. 6 of them, guys. Holy smoke. In fact, yeah, 6 of them for now. I say for now because you never know. RecoN might look to make more. It's looking a bit dicey. In terms of gold income, gold is kind of almost taken off the map, and RecoN going to snag this one on the right side. 1,750. He's got really good map control here, RecoN. Kaiser going to struggle. Nesta Bees. Oh, they're getting massive damage out here. Going to dive on in. He's going to body block those Nesta Bees. Going to make sure there's a siphon secure so the man-at-arms can't get on top of them. This is a great fight for RecoN. Despite the crossbows involved, I mean, the Nesta bees will start to fire on them. It's an absolute destruction. There's so many units dying for the English. He's not getting close enough to those Nesta bees. I think he managed to snipe 2 so far. They've gotten a lot of value already. Oh, that's rough. He just doesn't have the anti-siege he needs. Only managed to take 2 of the Nesta bees out. Again, no network of castles or citadels extension. The Nesta bees moving a bit further forward. 30 minutes on the clock. He's going to try and hold. I'm not sure if he can though. There's just so many units. They're all pumping out from these barracks. RecoN, he's pumping. And that last upgrade, before we forget, does add a bit of an area effect damage for the bombards, which we haven't seen that much of yet. We haven't seen a bombard at all yet, but he did get lightweight beams and got all the upgrades. You'd love to see all those blue dots on capture ridge. With every single upgrade coming in for RecoN, with almost 9,000 food in the bank, 8,000 gold. This game is looking tricky for Kaiser. The English are pushing back with one big push, but there's a lot of palace guards still there. He does have 2 springles now, so he's actually sniping a couple of Nesta bees. This could be his way back into the game. If he takes down the Nesta bees, there's only 1 remaining actually, and he's going to take a fight with the crossbows on the back line. He's going to tank with the man-at-arms on the front, but again, no network of citadels, and that's really hurting the English. That's a big part of their bonus when you factor in the palace guard have an extra 15% damage, right? And so not having the network of citadels was hurting quite a lot, but he does have it now. So his crossbows can do a lot of work. Doesn't look like he's got incendiary arrows either just yet. All of a sudden, that network of citadels bonus, you can see how much of a difference that made. Now bear in mind, it might be the case that RecoN could be looking to trade if he needs to. It's not something that's on the agenda for the English though. His trade on the right side is a little bit tricky to get hold of. But he has held here, Kaiser, for now. And he's starting to build up a bit of a force. How's it going, Tilky and Champ? Yeah, so Vietnamese is currently a modded civilization. I've casted a couple of games recently, and I've popped them up onto YouTube, so you're more than welcome to check them out. It's a really nice civilization, actually. It's kind of interesting. It feels a little bit weak on the economy, but it does have some really good, nice late-year game units and really cool mechanics as well, with tunneling and explosive traps. I was going dynastic protectors rather. He's going to go for the Imperial Guard or Yuan Raiders. I mean, I think this point, the tricky part of the Raiders is that it's quite hard to raid the English with Yuan. I'm not sure how much armor they have, but we do know that the Imperial Guard have a lot of tankiness for sure. God, he's being mocked up, and look how many resources he's got here, RecoN. Absolutely madness. We'd love to start seeing some forward productions, but if he does go for cavalry, which he will be with these this upgrade, I guess it doesn't matter as much. I suspect he will be making more stables. It feels that way at least. They're going to get the stone wall. Yep, trade is being set up now. It's going to be protected really well with double layer stone walls. That's going to be so hard for things to break through. How's it going, Ilmus? Ah, so the mentioning in chat that the Raiders have higher DPS than the Palace Guard while also being a light unit. Got 10 melee armor on it. 9 versus ranged. He's moving on out though, Kaiser. Does have incendiary arrows now for those crossbows. I wonder if he throws these units away. Does he have stables up and running though? That's the thing. He got the technology. Does he have the buildings for it? Doesn't seem so just yet. Looks like he's just trying to get everything he can get at this point. Oh, Palace Guard's coming around the back, and he's going to try and jump on those crossbows, potentially a couple of mantas peeling off to try and protect those crossbows. Managed to achieve that, actually. Pretty hefty, but the problem for the English is it doesn't have the network Citadels bonus, and it feels like it's hurting him quite a bit. A couple more manatubs going to peel off to try and protect those crossbows as much as possible, but a couple of Palace Guards have snuck on the right side to try and get right on top of them, and it looks like they will. Defender's advantage definitely helping out for RecoN. The movement speed of those Palace Guards just way too good. Cavalry are now starting to emerge as we see horsemen. Horsemen? What? Is that a misclick? Come on. You got so much food, so much gold. Make the... No, RecoN. No. Okay, there we go. There's the Imperial Guard. They've been queued up, and they're going to be on the way soon. Can't wait to see him. He's a full population cap, right? So he's gonna waste away with the Palace Guards. He's gonna use them up and just give them away, and then it's gonna be the Imperial Guard on the way. An absolutely beautiful unit. Not a unit that we see all that often, but so I'm super excited to see this. These guys are absolute tanky beasts. And the Palace Guards are going to trade pretty well here. They've been thrown to the slaughter, but they're doing a job before they die. They will go down now. It does have cannon emplacements inside the outpost. It's going to be a hard push on here, but I guess with Imperial Guards, anything is possible. A couple of bombards added in as well, and they will do the area effect damage because of the upgrade as well. Oh, here they go. They're massing it up. The cavalry coming out. Stables around the back. That's a lot of Imperial Guard. Now these beauties. 340 HP, 13 melee armor, 6 ranged armor, 43 base damage. These guys are beautiful. We've got the 66 melee lance attack as well. These guys look amazing. Bear in mind, he's also getting the 15% extra damage and the divine charge as well. This is going to chew through everything. This is absurd. It's going to take the fight against the man-at-arms. There's going to be no hope for those man-at-arms at all. Now the crossbows might do some work, but it's going to be tough, right? With 340 HP on these guys, it's just, yeah, there's just too many of them as well. We've got a great economy behind this. Bombard's getting some action on. With the splash damage, it clears it up so quickly. And that is an army that you do not want to be facing up against in the late game. And he's got the army that might be unstoppable. He's held on for now, Kaiser, but is this a step too far? We'll have to see. That army value, as Archangelo mentions in the chat, absolutely beastly. I mean, look at that. 24,000 versus 8,000. Literally triple. This is going to hurt for the English. He's going to lose his outpost at no time. Now, he has given the game away, so the English will be, you know, they know about this, but he's getting spearmen. This is rough, right? Because they're veteran spearmen for one. He's getting the upgrades as we speak, but cost effectiveness, at this point, the Imperial Guard, I don't know what beats them. It doesn't feel like spearmen can even do this, because, I mean, let's take a look, right? The stats. Each spearman has 156 health. They only do 17 damage. Plus they get plus 28 versus cavalry, I guess, but comparatively, they're going to get decimated. And the base damage alone is more for the Imperial Guard than the base damage and bonus damage put together. Oh, actually, wait. I'm not going to add that together. Math is not my strong suit, especially when I'm in a pinch. Either way, spearman brace and hand cannoneers behind. Bombards. Don't forget the bombers get area effect damage. Just a lot of bombards. And the economy is just out of this world for RecoN. 22,000 food, 6,000 gold. Now, granted, the English do have a lot of food themselves. It's the gold that's the issue. Oh, this is going to be tough. The bombards at this point probably counter the spearmen in a big way. It's a full infantry-based army. Here come the Springles, though. It's going to need more than that. No, he's getting trade as well. 74 gold per minute, per trip rather. Got a decent number of traders for sure. Taking the fight. Imperial Guards, will they ride on in? They're going to do that just out. Spearmen, they brace. But this is just looking way too much here. The Imperial Guards going to go around the back as much as possible to pick off on the Springords, and that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to snipe them. Bye-bye, Springords. And hello, Imperial Guards. They're riding on in, and so many survive. There are barely any dead Imperial Guards, and yeah, I mean, sure, some of them are low health, but guess what? RecoN, he just makes more. At this point, it feels like there's no countering this army. All that's left is to break through the palisades and just enjoy the show, guys, because it's going to be destruction, I think, at this point. Sure, he's going to try and hold it as much as he possibly can, but RecoN can make this army probably 2 times over. I'm going to dive in with Imperial Guards down in the south, pushing in through the center. A couple of Imperial Guards just to make sure the bombards stay alive for now. And the reinforcements waypointed to that area as well. He's going to raid heavily. Might look to just try and torch things down. Unless there's a huge, big accident or Waterloo comes off for the English, it feels like this is going to be a hard hold. And the crazy thing is that those Imperial Guards, they're going to be doing more than enough to protect the bombards. And then they're going to take the infrastructure down, and the farms are being torched alive. Well, they're not living, but they're going to be torched down. They're going to be burnt down to the ground by the Imperial Guards. A group of them. And ultimately, the English can't focus on 2 areas at once. He has to try and clear up the force in the front, and that leaves his farms exposed around the back. Bombards now looking to take down the barracks. I mean, these Imperial Guards are slowly being taken down, but it isn't enough. The English have to tap out. There's just way too many Imperial Guards. A cracking game of Age of Empires 4, and a ridiculous unit for the Jushi Legacy that wins the game for RecoN. Hope you guys enjoyed this cast game on YouTube. If you did, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Take care, and see you next time.